What causes heel pain when I'm walking or running? So, this is a very, very common question. If you get heel pain when you walk or run, make sure you check out this video. I'm going to go in and tell you why, what you can do about it, and how you can go about it long term. So, what we do see is that a lot of people come in and say, hey, listen, every time I up my walking or running or exercise more, I get an increase in my heel pain. It starts to feel a little bit better, or starts to feel better in the short term anyway, when I don't exercise, I don't walk, or I don't run. My name's Daniel Fitzpatrick. I work at Sydney Foot Solutions. I'm a podiatrist here. I've been a podiatrist sadly for 20 years, sadly because that reflects my age. The reality is that we see well over 100 cases of heel pain a week, and a number of people report this and ask this question around, why does my heel pain hurt more when I walk, when I run, or I exercise more? And the reality is that it's primarily because heel pain is caused by a condition called plantar fasciitis. Now, plantar fasciitis is a tough piece of tissue that runs from here down to here. Plantar fasciitis tends to manifest right around your heel. So heel pain and plantar fasciitis are very interchangeable terms. Even though plantar fasciitis can happen anywhere along your arch, we see majority of the case, 90% of cases, probably through the heel and manifests in heel pain. And it commonly gets described as heel spur syndrome, even though you don't actually have a heel spur. So why do I get heel pain when I walk and when I run? Well, the reality is that the way you stand and the way you walk primarily is the thing that caused the heel pain in the first place. So your plantar fascia runs from here down to here. So if you, for example, have a lower arch, it means you collapse and you tear apart the fascia when you stand and when you walk. This is a very, very common arch. In fact, 80% of us have a lower style of arch, and that level of rotation and that movement through that actual area itself will tear apart those tissues and cause problems in many, many, many cases. Not in everybody, but they do make you predisposed to that type of thing. The other thing that will tend to cause it is a higher arch. So if you've got a higher arch, you probably sit more between that 10 to 15% of the population. Probably about 4 or 5% of the population is neutral or ideal, so not many of us. But what tends to happen with the high arch, you tend to be very tight by nature, you don't absorb shock well, and you tear apart your fascia because you hit the ground very hard and you're very tight through that area. And as a result, that causes micro tearing through that area as well. And you've got to remember that with plantar fasciitis, it happens over thousands and thousands and thousands of steps. It's very, very tough tissue. In fact, there are some experts that suggest that fascia is the toughest substance that we know of, stronger than tensile steel, stronger than spider web. I'm sure someone will query that on the video, but recent papers have suggested that. So it's very, very tensile strong. There's actually a lot of force and a lot that goes into causing plantar fasciitis. So just keep that in mind. And when you get plantar fasciitis, what's been suggested as well is that you don't really feel the first 90% of it. In fact, you've got all of this, you can have it for years before you actually feel it manifest itself and before it actually comes to fruition. Yes, people will often say, hey, I was walking down the street and then one day, bang, it just went and then it flared up. Or one day I woke up and bang, it flared. And that's very, 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 very common. But what tends to happen is your body becomes damaged, it becomes inflamed, and you're not aware of the inflammatory response, and it's constantly trying to heal that inflammatory response. And what happens is it flares up to a point where bang, it just gets over that threshold and it really starts to hurt you. The reason you get it when you walk and when you run more is because the shortcomings in the way you stand and the way you walk tend to be manifested more the more you actually do them. So the more you run or the more you walk, the more it manifests it. And this is why rest isn't a great treatment option when it comes to plantar fasciitis or heel pain. So the problem is that if you don't change the way you stand and the way you walk, which is actually very doable, and we do it all the time, and many people do it, and I'll take you through how you can actually do that. But the reality is if you don't fix the way you stand and the way you walk, it will always keep coming back. To prove this point, there was a major orthopedic study once that actually put a whole heap of people with heel pain and plantar fasciitis in surgical boots. And when they came out of the boots, they felt great. And within 3 or 4 weeks, they all majority of the study group started to get pain back again. And so what's that's saying is if you don't fix the underlying cause, it will keep coming back. And so rest isn't a great option. Not to mention, the problem is unless you learn how to levitate, like you're always going to have to use your feet because you've always got to go and do something. The day-to-day tasks of you standing and walking, you're always walking around. So the problem is you have to fix the way you stand and the way you walk. So the great thing is there's a couple of different ways you can do that. I mean, seeking the advice of a professional is definitely advised. If you want to fix the way you stand, the way you walk, so the two most common ways that people come across are orthotics, which are inserts for your shoes, and foot mobilization, which is what we are experts in, and we do stacks of it. And so the benefit of an orthotic is that, you know, whoever you see takes a cast of your foot. From the cast of your foot, they make up an orthotic, they put in your shoe, and it improves the way you stand, the way you walk. The other option, foot mobilization, is a gentle hands-on technique where we work on actually trying to correct the level, or we work on correcting the level of alignment within your foot and ankle, and then we build up the exercises to support those changes. So both can be very, very successful. The big advantage of foot mobilization is that you can go barefoot, and it is corrective to a degree, and to a degree you are self-sufficient, so you can go barefoot, you can walk on the sand, you can walk on the beach, you can wear a variety of footwear. The downside of orthotics and the upside of orthotics, they're very quick, they're straightforward, they're effective, there's no doubt about it, but you have to change your footwear, so you have to often wear lace-ups. So they're great for guys often, but for girls they're not as helpful in many instances. And the reality is that some of the feedback we get is that these orthotics just don't fit into my footwear. So that's definitely something to take into account when you're considering your treatment options. We do both, but I'll be honest with you, probably 95% of our patient load now definitely goes more down the manual therapy road. That's sort of what we're known for, because we've done it for over 20 years. And the reality is that we are experts in that field. Not to mention, not many other people in New South Wales are offering that service. So as a result, we're reasonably expert in that field. So if you would like to know more about anything, please feel free to put your questions below on the link. Also, keep in mind, we have a 60% off heel pain assessment offer. That's 60% off an initial assessment. We can come in and get expert advice around your heel pain. I'll put it on the link below. Also, we have a free report on our top tips to get rid of your heel pain so that you can fix your heel pain long term, and any extra advice you might like. Thank you very much for watching. Please feel free to like the video, click and subscribe, and make sure you check out the links below.